What's up guys, Macadii here, bringing you a brand new team building video based around Billy, the Mega Beedrill. Now you guys have been asking me continually to try and get a Mega Beedrill team building video out, so I figured I might as well go for it and see what I can make from him. So we're going to be doing OU, and I know he's down in UU, but I think he has potential up in OU, so we're going to give it a try and see how we feel from there. Now, if you guys can get this up to 35 likes, I will guarantee that we will be doing a live stream in the future where you guys will be able to fight the improved version of this team based from your recommendations and also from the testing within this video. So if you are hyped, don't forget to hit the like button down below. So in terms of his movesets, I'm decided to go for U-turn, poison jab, because obviously they're both stab. With adaptability, you want to be maximizing the number of moves that you got there with stab. Drill run for any steel types, mainly for Heatran, because that does cause issues with this guy. And then finally, I decided to go for knockoff. I wasn't too sure whether to go for protect or not, but considering this is going to be a volt turning team, I can quite easily volt turn out into Billy onto something sort of that's quite slow, and U-turn out and mega up and get my mega up from there. So I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue, personally. So in terms of Pokemon that will go well with this, I do normally quite like to keep sort of build around the walls to start with, but considering this is a volt turning team, we need to have a think of some good volt turners that would work really well in tandem with Billy. Now, I was thinking about this, and probably one of the best ones that would go well with Billy is a Landorus, because Landorus-Therian, because we can go for a choice scarf here, and then we've got a U-turner and also a volt switcher there. No, we both have U-turners. I don't know what I'm saying. I apologise. So we're going to have two U-turners here, which is really good to have. We need to try and sort of aim for maybe 2 volt switches, 2 U-turners if we can, just to keep that spread going. He has really good offensive synergy alongside Billy, because we've got access to Edgequake, Explosion as well. I am a huge fan of Explosion on Landorus-Therian, as you guys probably know by now. So we're going to go for Earthquake on this guy with Stone Edge. And access to Intimidate as well is absolutely beautiful, because you can come out on a physical threat, knock down their attack, which means they're more likely to switch, and then you can just U-turn out from there. So it's hopefully going to work really well alongside Billy. So we can go for Earthquake, Stone Edge, Explosion, just because I absolutely love that Choice Scarfed Explosion. And then finally, obviously, U-turn. And we're going to go for 252 in attack and 252 in speed with a Jolly Nature. Now, I just realised we haven't actually gone through Billy's EV, so we're just going to pop that back there quickly. We've got 252 in attack, 252 in speed, the last 4 in defense, just to patch it up as much as we can, really. And I wasn't sure whether to go for Timid or Adamant. I'd like to know your opinion on that, guys, because I'm not too sure. But at the minute, I think Adamant's the way to go, just because it's going to really boost up that attack. And even with 145 speed, we are even outspeeding base, Jolly 110s, I think, get up to 350 speed. So we are still outspeeding those pretty comfortably. So we may get up to 120. I'm not sure. I haven't actually done the calculations. But I think, to be honest, we should be okay with that. And Beedrill will really appreciate that extra attack boost. So in terms of the walls, it'd be good to have a think about the walls now. Ideally, some sort of physical wall or something like that has access to Volt Switch. So as soon as you say Volt Switch, physical wall, the first thing that pops to mind is obviously Rotom-Wash, because it's one of the best physical walls that has access to Volt Turn and things like that, and synergizes really well with these guys, especially with Landorus as well. If there's any things like Azumarill and things like that, it is able to eat any hits that are being directed at Landorus, and also any ice shards and things like that. So we're going to go for I think just a leftover set. We're going to go for leftovers plane split. So we're going to go for Scald here. Oh no, it doesn't get Scald, isn't it? It's Hydro Pump. I always forget about that. It's ages since I've used a Rotom, actually. Volt Switch. And then obviously Will-O-Wisp would be absolutely excellent. And we can either go for Rest and go for a Rested Chesto set, or we can go for a Pain Split set. I would like to make that kind of up to you guys, so as I said, let me know in the comments of what your opinion is. Resto Chesto to Rotom, or physically defend, or Pain Split with leftovers. It's a little bit tricky to say, because you obviously have to rely on being able to get the Pain Split off. We're going to run a little bit in speed, just to do some speed creeping. We can make that bold with 0 IVs in attack. So yeah, the advantage with Pain Split is obviously with leftovers, you're guaranteed a little bit of recovery each turn, whereas Rested Chester you can only use once, and you got to rely on being able to predict when you can rest up as well. So it's a little bit tricky to tell from there. So in terms of other Pokemon that would be quite useful, it would be quite good to maybe go for something like a Magnezone, because that's got a really, obviously, it would be really good to have as a another Volt Switcher. But to be honest, one that probably would be better is, which I haven't actually used before, but always causes my team's problems, is a Raikou, wherever he is. There you go. So Raikou has got absolutely brilliant 115 speed, 115 special attack, so I think would work really well. I don't know if I'll make that Specs or not. Probably Life Orb, to be honest, is the way to go. So we're going to go for Life Orb with Volt Absorb, which stops any other Volt turning of the other people. That might be banned, actually. I will find out when we move on to the testing, so I may have to switch that back. I have a feeling that it might be. So we can go for probably Aura Sphere, because we haven't got any Fighting Stab at the minute. Volt Switch here. Hidden Power Ice as well, because we haven't got any Ice type moves at the minute. And while it's only Hidden Power, it is still going to hit quite a few things pretty hard. And for the final move, maybe Extra Sensory, because we haven't got any Psychic type stab, not necessarily stab, but Psychic type moves, and that would definitely help with Mega Venusaur, which does kind of wall our team so far. I don't know about Billy. Physically defensive set may be able to handle us a bit better. I guess Shadow Ball could be an option, but we will play that one by ear from here. So we've currently got 2 Volt Switchers and 2 U-Turners, which is looking pretty good. We are looking for our special wall at the minute. So possibly the way to go. It would be quite nice to have a Skizor in the team, but I don't think it's going to function that great as a special wall. It might be better off as maybe a Choice Bandit as the final Pokemon. I'm not too sure. So if we went for Scizor, maybe the way to go from there would be to then have a Heatran. Especially a defensive Heatran would work well with Rotom. The other option is we could go for loads and loads of VoltTurn, and we could go for a Celebi, because Celebi does learn U-Turn. We can have Heal Bell, we can, I think it learns Wish, I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that. We will find out now. If it learns Wish, it might be, it does learn Healing Wish, but I'm not particularly keen on Healing Wish. So in terms of the next Pokemon, we could go for the Lati Twins, but I think I end up using them in almost every single team, so I'm not hugely keen on doing that. Talonflame could be an option. We don't have a Rapid Spinner at the minute, so we would kind of like something with Rapid Spin support. So actually thinking about it, maybe the way to go would be to go for the Heatran, make that lefties with special defense and Flash Fire. So Flash Fire would work well with Billy, and we have got a tiny bit of a ground weakness, but we have 2 resists at the minute. So we can go for maybe Lava Plume. Stealth Rocks, we do need a Rocker, so actually Heatran does work pretty well from that aspect. Toxic, maybe? Toxic's probably the way to go, and I'm quite tempted to go for maybe Roar as the last move. Just so, because the whole point is sort of rack up damage from when they're switching and things like that. And after that, we can then start sweeping with Billy. We are lacking priority on this team at the minute, which is a little bit scary. But that's something I would definitely like to look into. So we can go for a high special defense. I think is it Calm I'm looking for? Yeah, special defense. Make that 0. And maybe for the final Pokemon, it'd be nice. We need Rapid Spin support ideally, so we don't waste the rocks. So looking for Pokemon that do have Rapid Spin. It doesn't necessarily have to have U-Turn or anything like that. We could go for maybe a support Starmie. So we could go for Starmie with leftovers, and probably Natural Cure. We could go for Rapid Spin on there. And I've got an idea for a Reflect type. So in one of my last streams, the Mega Tyranitar stream, I had a huge problem with a Reflect type Starmie. It was causing all sorts of issues. So we can go for Rapid Spin Reflect type, probably Psyshock. And then as the final move, probably recover, to be honest, because we can recover up any lost HP. Reflect type means if we go against Scizors or anything like that, we can just reflect type, and that's really not going to be doing too much to us. So we're going to go for just a bulky set with Timid, odd number in there. Just going to adjust that to be odd. Yep, that is odd. And just the final 8 in special attack just to boost that up. So we've got that. 0 IVs in attack. 0 IVs in there. EVs are done on that guy. We can just put the final 4 into special attack. Oh, we've still got a bit left. So we can go for maybe run a bit of special attack on this guy just to get our lava plumes hitting a bit more. Thinking about it, actually, we're probably better off with a bit more bulk and just a tiny bit in special attack. Raikou, we can go for just another 4 in defense to settle that up. The advantage with Starmie as well is I think the reflect type will help us with a few of the setup Pokemon as well. I'm not too sure. We will have to see how well this works out. I've never used it before. I've had it used against me and it's worked quite well. So we will have to see with this team. I'm not hugely, as I said, literally just been made off the back of my head. So hopefully it will work out. So we're going to start testing this team now. So as I said, leave any suggestions for this team in the description when you get a chance, and we're just going to do a few battles just to do some testing with this. So I will see you guys at the first battle. Okay, so I had to make a couple of changes, mainly with Raikou, because unfortunately I wasn't able to do Volt Absorb because Volt Absorb isn't released yet, and I had to put a Rash Nature on him, which is unfortunate, but I still think it's worth it to get Aura Sphere, because Aura Sphere is going to be really, really good. So looking at this guy's team, he's got a pretty horrific team, to be honest. With obviously a rain team, who can't really see that, and obviously a Manaphy, Politoed, Swampert, which is probably going to be his Mega Swampert, Heliolisk, which with Dry Skin recovery and everything like that is probably going to be Life Orb Dry Skin, Ferrothorn, which we're going to need Raikou to start to burst our way through that, and lastly Dragonite as well. So I kind of predict Politoed coming out. With the Swampert being here and everything like that, it is going to cause quite a few issues, so I'm not exactly sure how to approach this team. Sending a untested team out on a rain team, especially a dedicated rain team like this one, is a little bit scary. But to be honest, once the Swampert is out the way, our VoltTurners can have a field day, and Billy can also have a much better time once Ferrothorn is out the way as well. So I kind of predict the maybe the Politoed leading. So it is quite tempting to go out maybe into Landorus to lead, and we can always U-turn because we will outspeed this guy. The other options we got is either go into Rotom, which means we can Volt Switch or even Hydro Pump if needs be, and to be honest, I think that's probably the best play. So we're going to start off with Rotom. I know we're not specially defensive Rotom, but he doesn't know that just yet. So we do go out into he does go into Politoed. As we go out into the Rotom, we can just I think we're just going to go for a Hydro Pump this turn, predicting the Swampert, because if the Swampert comes out, we're going to have a much easier time. I guess the Heliolisk is here as well. I guess the only issue is that with the Heliolisk could come out, so maybe Volt Switch is the way to go, because I don't think there's a huge amount that this guy can do. He does go out into the Heliolisk. Luckily the cancel button works, so we can go about into either probably our Landorus, looking at this, because it's very unlikely that this guy is going to be Scarfed. And we can just go for maybe a Stone Edge, or even just a U-turn, because start doing all those shenanigans all over again. And I think, to be honest, that's probably the way we're going to go. So we're going to go out, as I said, into Landorus, go for a U-turn. I know there's a chance he is going to go out into the Ferrothorn, but we should be able to go out into our Raikou from there. I don't know if that will KO. We will have to see. So we're going to go for a U-turn here. This should do a pretty decent chunk to this guy. I'm pretty confident that this guy is not Scarfed, and he isn't, and that does a really, really decent chunk. So we're going to go out into Raikou here, because actually I guess he could go for the Scald here, but that may not have been the best bet. But I think it was our only real one at the moment. We can then go back out into Landorus and go for another U-turn if needs be. We will have to see. But yeah, sending an untested team out on a rain team is a little bit daunting. Hopefully we will be able to work our way around this. fingers crossed is all I can really say at the moment. But it would be good to get our rocks up, because he hasn't got a rock removal or anything like that. He does go for the Empower. Unfortunately, that is a crit. But I think from there, I don't know if a Volt Switch will take him out though. We can just go for an Aura Sphere, just in case he does decide to go out into the Ferrothorn. The Swampert, I don't know if this will be a 2-hit KO. Unfortunately, it isn't. We can just go back out into Rotom. I think that's our only real bet. And we can then go for possibly a Volt Switch if we wanted to. That might be our best bet, predicting that Helios coming back out. We are going to have to make some quite solid plays here to work our way around this guy's team, because it is a little bit scary. Fingers crossed. So he does Mega up, goes to the Ice Punch. That really doesn't do much. Hopefully doesn't... Why did I even mention it? Why? So we're going to have to go... We're going to go for a Will-O-Wisp here. And hopefully he won't be able to do a huge amount to us. That's not going to do much. We are frozen. We don't have a switch in. This is really not good. I'm not too sure what to do, but we do want to burn this Swampert. So if Rotom can live, it would make so much difference. But this is... I really hate freeze. And this freeze may end up losing us the game if we are frozen for multiple turns. Unfortunately, because Rotom can't run Scald. If we had Scald, we could actually break our way out of the freeze. But we are just going to have to hope that we can take enough hits. We're really not, though. We're going to have to try and rely on taking one more, which we can. And if we don't get unfrozen this turn, I'm pretty sure it's GG, unfortunately. Because there's really not a huge amount that we can do to this guy. And that is a real pain, unfortunately. So hopefully we can unfreeze this turn. He does go for the superpower, which is going to take us out. So from here, we're going to go out. The rain does stop, so we can go out into Landorus, and we can just get a U-turn off here. I don't think he's going to be staying in, and this should do a pretty decent chunk to this guy, especially with his half attack. I very much doubt he is going to stay in. If the Ferrothorn comes out, we can go out into Raikou, and we can go for an Aura Sphere from there. But losing our Rotom is absolutely devastating. And if he sets up the rain again and comes out with the Swampert, I don't know what we're going to be able to do from there, because we're going to be in a whole heap of trouble, unfortunately. Because we really don't have anything for him outside of our Rotom. But that Ice Punch is just... Oh, that was evil. I even was like... I didn't call it, but I was aware that it was probably going to happen. And as always... When I start recording, things like this happen, and not much I can do. But yeah, I'm really liking Landorus at the minute. U-turn on this is absolutely disgusting. Raikou's working out well as well, and we just need to see how the rest of them work out. Not too sure. Starmie is a little bit iffy at the minute. I don't see, outside of Rapid Spin, he's not really adding huge amounts to the team, but we will have to see. I guess he is a bit stally. I might actually change... what have I got on here? Psyshock. It would be nice to get some sort of Toxic or something like that on there. I don't know how I would do that, but we will have to see. I'm surprised he isn't going out to the Ferrothorn. I guess that might be specially defensive Ferrothorn. If he's not going into that. But we can always go out, possibly into the Heatran, and we can set up our rocks from there, which is going to make a lot of difference against that Dragonite. He will end up probably going out into the Politoed. He does go out into Ferro. So, we could go out into Raikou, actually, go for the Aura Sphere, and looking at that, that's probably our best bet, because I think we can 2-hit KO Swampert. How much did we do before? Aura Sphere did 36%, 36, maybe not. Oh, no, we will. No, that's fine, 72. My maths is... As always, when I'm playing Pokemon, my maths just disappears. So, we're going to go out into Raikou. And we can go for an Aura Sphere without too much trouble. I don't know if this guy will be able to take it. It'll be interesting to see. But I think we might be able to level Gyro Ball. I'm not too sure. And unfortunately, it doesn't take him out. But we have done a really good amount of damage to this guy. And he isn't at a point where he will be able to live another Aura Sphere. But I am kind of predicting the Protect here. So we're going to go out into Heatran because I don't really want to take any more Leech Seed or anything like that. And we can then just go for, just set up our rocks from there because it will stop the Dragonite from having its multi-scale. It does double out into the Politoed. So we are in a tiny bit of trouble here. I guess we could go out into our Starmie. That's definitely an option. I think that's what we're going to have to do because we are going to have to keep Heatran around. Actually, how useful is Heatran? I guess it's good against the Heliolisk. We can switch in with the Volt switches and everything like that. So we're going to go out into Starmie as he does go out into the Manaphy now. We're going to have to go for probably a Psyshock here. Starmie may end up having to go down. Considering the lack of hazards really on this guy's team, I'm not too fussed about worrying about those. Maybe we should change Starmie out for Scizor. That could be an option. Because we've only got one other fire weakness and we have got Heatran. And we can run Defog on that. I know it's like kind of counterproductive. That does absolutely nothing. That's a little bit scary. We do, as I said, we have Raikou, so I'm not too scared of this guy. So we're just going to go for another Psyshock here. And I don't think... Oh, he's got the Citrus. And Energy Ball is going to be able to KO us from here. So we're going to go out into Raikou here. And we can just go for a Volt Switch. I don't know if that will KO, that's the only thing. Because this thing is pretty bulky. But we're going to have to rely on doing that, possibly sacking Heatran. And sticking with these guys for the last thing. But I think we're just going to get ripped apart, to be honest. He does go into the Heliolisk as a Volt Switch. Doesn't take him out, unfortunately. But what we can do is we can go out into possibly our Heatran. I don't really want to take a Scald, though. I think we might be able to live that. That's the only thing. And it would be good to get rocks up, as I was saying. In terms of Billy sweeping... Ferrothorn is down at a point where maybe a U-turn would take him out. I'm not too sure. So that's probably our plan of attack from here. Because we do need to get that Dragonite out of its multi-scale. And I'm confident that we should be able to take a hit from this guy. So we can go for a Stealth Rocks here. As he's probably going to go for Scald, to be honest. The only issue we have got is if the Swampert is in with the rain, he can literally just rip our team apart. But there's not a huge amount we can do about that. We're just going to have to do our best and hopefully make something from that. But no, a dedicated rain team like this is definitely not something you don't want to face in your first battle. So we will have to see. He does end up going out into the Swampert as we set up the Stealth Rocks. So we're going to have to go for probably maybe a Raw. No, we're going to have to go for a Lava Plume because we need to burn this guy. If we can get a burn off on this guy, we have a tiny bit more of a chance. Unfortunately, I think this is a sweep from here. We can probably sack off. Let's see. So Landorus is useful. How useful is Billy? Billy probably could sweep for his team, looking at it. Outside of this Mega Swampert. So the question is, how much speed? 262. He's going to have 500 speed. If he is max speed, which he probably is, to be honest. But we may have to sack off Landorus just to see, because to be honest, this is the only way we're going to win. Raikou will not be able to take a hit. And there's still there's one turn of rain left. Raikou, I know, only has 2 more hits in him, but with the amount of water types that are around, and also we can hit that Heliolisk and Ferrothorn hard, I think he's probably more valuable to us than the Landorus is at this point in time. We can also get the attack drop as well. So we're just going to go for an Explosion because that's our hardest hitting move. If he does end up going out into something else, so be it. There's not much we can do. We have got Stealth Rocks up, so the Dragonite, it will take a pretty decent chunk from that. If he's not going to outspeed, he would definitely be better off switching out here. But hopefully he does make the mistake of staying in. Because if this Swampert is out the way, we might be able to get a sweep off. We will have to set our Mega Evolution up with Beedrill, ideally on the Ferrothorn. We do outspeed, and we do take him out, so he's more of a bulky set. So we can go out into probably Raikou, because we can hit everything pretty hard, and we do outspeed. He does go out into the Politoed now. So we can go for a Volt Switch here. That's probably our best bet. And we'll see what he goes out into. He does go out into the Heliolisk, so we can set that and take that out with a Volt Switch. So we can go out to Billy now. The only issue is E-Speed on the Dragonite probably is going to take us out, to be honest. Because we are incredibly frail as Beedrill. We don't pack the Protect, which maybe in this situation Protect would have been good. But he may overpredict and decide to go for the Dragon Dance this turn or something like that to then outspeed us when we Mega up. So I think our best bet is to just go for a Poison Jab and see from there. We do that as he sets up the Dragon Dance, predicting us to go for the Protect. And we do take him out. We may actually have a sweep going on here. We will have to see. Because we can U-turn on that guy. It depends how much damage we can do to a Politoed. So we're going to go for a U-turn here. There's a chance we can take out this Ferrothorn. If we can take out the Ferrothorn, we might actually win this. He does end up going for the Protect here. So we're going to go for the U-turn. As he does get a little bit of HP back. We're going to go for another U-turn. But this is going to be a lot closer than we thought it was going to be. That mistake of staying in with that Swampert. Oh, that was definitely a game changer. And also the over-prediction of thinking that we're going to go for the Protect. Definitely clinched it with that one as well. So he's made a couple of mistakes. I don't know how much this is going to do. I think this is especially defensive Ferrothorn, to be honest. So this is probably going to do quite a decent chunk. Whether it will KO or not, I'm not too sure. We will have to find out. It is typically, it's got 116, I think, defense. So I don't know, as I said, I don't know if we're going to KO, but we should do a decent chunk, even if Raikou goes down. We don't take him out, unfortunately, and we get hit by Iron Barbs. We can go out into Raikou. It just comes down to whether we can KO a Politoed. We've got pretty decent special defense of our own, but to be honest, I think a +2, sorry, not +2, +1 Scald from the rain won't be good enough to do any damage. So we're going to go back out into Billy, and we're going to have to go for another U-turn, unfortunately. I'm pretty confident that I can take out a Manaphy from there. It's just whether we can take out a Politoed. So we can go for another U-turn here, and Billy may end up coming through, which I really seriously doubted, and it would be absolutely incredible if we can get a win on this, because it was looking so unlikely that we were going to win this. He does go for the Protect here. Luckily, U-turn, he's going to have to get a double Protect off to actually let that make any difference. I really, really hope he doesn't get the double Protect. He doesn't go for the double Protect, which, to be honest, in my opinion, was a bit of a mistake. It's always worth going for the double Protect if it's worth it. He goes out to the Politoed, so we need to pick our most powerful move, which is going to be Poison Jab. So we're going to go for the Poison Jab here. We should outspeed pretty comfortably. It's just now whether the rocks might make a difference to whether this is a KO or not. We don't get the KO, and we live. He gets the burn. Oh no! If he hadn't got the burn, we would have won this. Oh. To be honest, I don't care. That was an absolutely brilliant match, because if Beedrill hadn't have got burnt there, we'd have won. And that is absolutely incredible. We took a Scald from a Politoed, and while we didn't KO ourselves, if he hadn't have snagged the burn on that one, we would have ended up winning this match. So unfortunately, we are going to go down to the burn, so it is GG from there. So we're going to move on to the next battle, but that was an absolutely brilliant battle. I'm just going to wish him GG, and I will see you guys at the next one. Okay, so looking at this guy's team, he has got the Chansey, which we're going to have to rely on Landorus and also Billy as sort of wall breakers to break through that. He has got the Excadrill, which is definitely going to be a problem if it's running the Mold Breaker, or if it's going to run Sand Rush as well. We do have Scarf Landorus. I don't know if that outspeeds. We will have to see. But in terms of lead, I'm not too sure. I'm kind of predicting the Rotom to lead. But I guess maybe our own Rotom, looking at this, is probably the best way to go, because it handles his whole team pretty well. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to lead off with Rotom. I know he's got the ground type Excadrill, which is going to cause a few problems with Rotom. He does go out into the Starmie this turn, so I'm actually quite tempted just to go for the Volt Switch. We can then find out whether this Excadrill is Mold Breaker or not, and see from there. He does end up staying in with the Scarm, so we can go out probably into our Raikou, is probably the best bet, maybe. He might just be setting up rocks at this point to stop from Billy from sweeping and everything like that. Landorus is an option, but I don't really want to go in on a Skarmory with that. So probably Raikou is the best bet, because we can go for an Aura Sphere then, and none of his Pokemon appreciate an Aura Sphere outside of Charizard. He sets up a set of layer of spikes. We can just go for the Aura Sphere here, and he's probably going to predict us to go for the Volt Switch, and hopefully goes out into his own Excadrill, which would be absolutely excellent. I don't think this guy is going to be Scarfed, considering the Tyranitar, the Sandstorm. It depends. If he's Mold Breaker, he's going to be Scarfed, probably. Goes out into the T-Tar. Now, that's really not going to appreciate a Sandstorm. So, from here, we could go for a Volt Switch, or we could just go for another Aura Sphere. I'm quite tempted just to go for another Aura Sphere, considering his team's weakness to it. We could have gone for a Volt Switch, but I don't know if that would KO. We can actually, let's very quickly do the maths. 80 times 4, 200, 160, 320, whereas a Volt Switch is only 100, so it's going to do just under a third. I guess it might do. I think we're going to risk it. We're going to go for a Volt Switch here, predicting the switch. He does go out into the Chansey as we get the Volt Switch off, and that means we can actually go out into possibly Billy, actually, because we could get a knockoff on the Chansey, and that would be really, really good. Or even just go for the U-turn and go out into something else. I think we're going to go for the U-turn on the Chansey, because that's going to really, really hit it hard. Knockoff would be really good, especially considering how bulky this thing is. I'm a little bit scared of T-Wave, though. That's the only thing. So I think we're just going to go for a U-turn here, just to hit this guy extra hard, and see what he does from there. So 42%, that's not too bad. We can go out into, probably a little bit tricky. We're going to go out into Lando, in case he decides to go for a T-Wave, because we can handle that pretty well. We do drop his attack. He goes for the Toxic. Excellent play. So we're just going to go for another U-turn here, I think, because he can't really afford to stay in. And we can then go back out into Beedrill if needs be and get a knockoff off. He does decide to switch in, stay in, so we can go out into Billy, and we can just spam knockoff, because none of his Pokemon particularly appreciate a knockoff. I know we are starting to get a bit worn down with those spikes, but there's not a huge amount we can do about that. So we're going to go for a knockoff. Luckily, the Sandstorm is wearing down his Chansey quite well, and that's really, really useful. But we can go for the knockoff here. He does end up switching out into the Starmie, so we can take that out. Oh, no, we don't take it out. Blimey. So unfortunately, we're going to have to go for another knockoff just to take this guy out, because I'm not too sure whether a U-turn would be able to take him out. Luckily, we have knocked off his Rocky Helmet, so we're not going to take any more damage from that. His lack of Scarfer surprises me. So he does go out to the Charizard this turn. So I'm not too sure if this is Charizard X or if this is Charizard Y, because that will obviously depend on which one we switch in on. I have a feeling this might be Y. So I'm quite tempted to go out into Heatran, and I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Billy does excellent work against the rest of his team, though. We just need to make sure he stays alive. He is the Y set, as predicted, so we can get the Flash Fire boost. And we're just going to set up the Stealth Rocks, because Charizard himself really, really doesn't appreciate Stealth Rocks. He does go for the Solar Beam, which does absolutely nothing. So we can go for Stealth Rocks, and we're just going to go for a Roar here, because we can then roar out this Charizard. Most of our team is faster than the Charizard as well, so it's actually not going to be too scary. He does go for the Focus Blast. He does miss. So we do manage to roar out into the T-Tar. From here, he's probably going to go for an EQ, if anything. So we're just going to go out into good old Lando, predicting the EQ. And he does go for the EQ. We are making some good predictions here, guys. And we can just go for the U-turn, and he does end up forfeiting. But yeah, that's it. Our team absolutely ripped this guy's team apart. So that's really good. That's a really, really good sign. So we're going to go on to the next battle from here. Okay, so looking at this guy's team, he's got a definite love of steel types going on here. If I had a Magnezone on my team, he would be getting very, very excited right now. So looking at this guy's team, possibly maybe defensive or specially defensive Mew. Probably specially defensive, looking at maybe offensive Mew, actually, looking at this, because he probably got defensive Mandibuzz, specially defensive Chansey, obviously Bisharp, Metagross, and Magnezone, offensive core, which Landorus definitely works his way around. Once we get this bird out of the way, we should be pretty much laughing from there. So in terms of lead, I don't know whether the Mew might be leading. It's possible the Bisharp might be leading, or the Metagross. So I think we're going to go for Lando. Considering how physically offensive this guy's team is, I think that's probably the best bet. He does go out into the Mew, so we can actually get a U-turn off here, and we do outspeed and everything like that, so we can then go out possibly into the Rotom, predicting this to be maybe physical. It's a little bit tricky to tell at this stage, but it would be good to get a burn off on at least one thing at this point in time. So we're going to go out into Rotom, as he does go for the Ice Beam, so he looks to be special, which is a bit unfortunate because we could have gone into Heatran. So we're just going to go for a Willow here, just in case this guy decides to do something. We might be giving off signals that we're specially defensive. He is nasty plotting up, which really isn't good. We have, what's he got? Was that a Lum there? That's really not good. Right, that puts us in a bit of a predicament. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to Hydro Pump this guy. It is very tempting to switch out, but I'm not exactly sure what he's going to have. He does pack the Psyshock. Right, we have got him down to a point where we will be able to take him out with a U-turn on either... on Landorus. That is going to be the only option, unfortunately, because Billy will be out of action. He does end up not having the recover, which is good. So we are going to have to trade Pokemon here. So we can go out into Lando, we can go for the U-turn, and that's pretty good from there. As I said, unfortunately we have lost our physical wall, but Lando is a sort of secondary physical wall, so that he should be able to shore up Bisharp and Metagross fairly comfortably. We do have Heatran as well, which can work its way around most of this guy's team. I think Chansey is going to cause our team a bit of a problem, but we can definitely work around that guy. So, yeah, U-turn is definitely the best bet from here. And he does end up switching out into the Mandibuzz. So, we can go out into Raikou now. We could go for a Volt Switch. And to be honest, I think that's probably our best bet. So, we're going to go for a Volt Switch here. And that should do pretty decent damage to this guy. Whether it will KO or not, I kind of doubt it, because we've only got 115 special attack. But it will do a pretty decent amount of damage. And we could then go out into maybe Landorus or something like that. He does go out into the Chansey now. So I think this is prime time to go out into Billy. And we can get a knockoff on something. I think that's our only option, is if we can knock off this Chansey, then a U-turn will be doing a really decent amount of damage in the future. So we're going to go for that knockoff there. The Metagross might be running Bullet Punch, which will really hurt Beedrill hard. He has got Sucker Punch on the Bisharp, most likely, because who doesn't run that? So we do manage to knock off his Eviolite, as he has got the T-Wave, which is really unfortunate. But to be honest, I don't think Billy was going to be doing a huge amount. It's mainly going to act as the wall breaker to break through Chansey. So Chansey now is in a position where it's either got to let something else take a really hard hit, or die itself. So I don't know if he's going to be running Calcs now, but we will have to see. He does end up switching out into the Mandibuzz, and a U-turn does a really good amount. So we can go back out into Raikou, and we can just start this process all over again, which is the beautiful thing about VoltTurn teams. So we can go for a Volt Switch here. I do apologise, guys, if you can hear a bit of a whirring in the background. For some reason, the washing machine is going absolutely crazy at the minute. I really do apologise if you can hear it. I will try and edit it out if possible. He does end up staying in, and he does lose his Mandibuzz, which means we can go out into probably the Landorus, because all of his team is grounded now, and that's probably our best bet, because he can just go for EQs, and that should be able to take out pretty much anyone. Guys asking me why I called it Billy, just because it started with B, and Billy the Beedrill just sounds quite cool. You could probably make a comic out of him or something like that. I'm not too sure. So he does go out into the Bisharp now. We can just go for the safe EQ. I know we wouldn't have got the Intimidate off, which is a shame. But I'm pretty confident that we can live a hit. And an EQ will absolutely wreck this guy. Hopefully he's not sashed. He isn't. He ends up going out into the Mew. So from here, he is in a tiny bit of a predicament. If he goes out into the Chansey, we can quite easily go out into Billy. And there's not a huge amount this guy can do to us. And we can just go for another U-turn. He does go out into Chansey this turn. So we're going to go out into Billy. We will be able to work our way around this Chansey, I think. So I'm not too scared of it at the minute. We will have to see. But I'm definitely not going to go for the Poison Jab at any point because of the free Steel types that he's got. As I said again, I do apologise if you can hear any wiring in the background. I will try and get rid of it. It's just a bit of a pain. He does go for the Seismic Toss speed, don't get powered, and we take out the Chansey, which is absolutely brilliant. So I'm quite comfortable going out into Heatran because it's our least valuable sort of counter to any of his Pokemon. And all of his Pokemon will get hit pretty hard. If he goes out into the Metagross, I'm quite comfortable to go out into the Lando and see from there. The other option is we could just stay in with Heatran, sack that off, or even go out. I don't really want to go out into Starmie because at this point, Starmie is just going to be set up fodder for the Bishop. So actually maybe Billy, unfortunately Billy has done an excellent job, but he is going to have to go down at this point. So we're going to go out into Billy as he does Mega Up, gets the EQ off, and that is going to take us out. But from here, we can go out into Landorus, and I'm pretty confident an EQ will be able to take this guy out. We have got the attack drop as well, so we're going to go for the EQ here and see how much this does. He may think we're banded as well. I don't think we have had an opportunity to sort of let him know what type of set we've got. He does end up sacking the Magnezone. From here, we can go back out, possibly into maybe our Raikou or even our Heatran. He does go out into the Bishop. I'm quite comfortable staying in and going for the EQ because I think that should be able to take this guy out, even if it doesn't. Okay, so he is... Okay, I was worried he was going to be sashed and go for SD or something like that because that is a really, really scary thing that those guys can do. So it does end up going out into the Metagross. We're going to go for the EQ here and see how it goes from there. In terms of testing, that does a lot. We don't take him out, unfortunately. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to play a few games, and we're going to go out into Starmie, let Starmie go down, and bring him down to a point where his attack is just absolutely minimal. But in terms of battles, I think we're probably going to do one more after this one. But at the minute, I'm pretty comfortable with where the team is at this point in time. So we're going to go for just go for a Psyshock, just to do a tiny, tiny, tiny baby amount of damage. But Starmie definitely took that hit really, 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 really well, actually. And we can just keep going for Psyshocks. It is tempting to go for Reflect type, but then to be honest with the EQ, we don't really want to be taking those sorts of hits. And we are just about to be able to take this guy out. So we can go out into Landorus, and get an attack drop. We can then go out into Heatran, out into Landorus, out into Heatran, and just bring him down to a point where I guess we can still go out into Raikou, but I know 350 speed, he might be able to outspeed Raikou. We'll have to find out once I get Landorus out. But I'm not going to play any games because Metagross is seriously scary, especially with Tough Claws. And the last thing I'd want is for him to be able to outspeed everything and just go EQ, EQ, EQ. But his only option with this Landorus is to Bullet Punch for him to win. So I can play on that fact and see from there. So for some reason, the Showdown is really, really lagging. We go out into the Landorus, get the attack drop. He is forced to Bullet Punch this turn, so we're going to go out into Heatran and take that. Then we can go back out into Landorus and get another drop off him from there. And we're just going to keep going until he's down to a point where Raikou is completely safe. We haven't actually checked his what Raikou's speed is at the moment. He is a bit slow, that's the only thing. So this is the only way we're going to be able to do this. So we're going to have to go back out into Heatran. If he ends up taking out the Heatran, not much we can do about that. But he isn't going to predict right. So we're going to go out into Landorus one more time. We just want the minimum amount of attack that we can on this guy, just to make sure that we are going to win this. As he does end up making the right play, but that's fair enough. But he is down to a point where Raikou can come in, and I should be able to outspeed and take him out. By the looks of things, he may be a little bit slower. He may not be running max speed, but it is always something, just to be sure, and I will let him know. Just to be sure. And we can just go for a Volt Switch here. Yeah, I did think he was going to outspeed. See, this is why I needed to do that. and we do take him out with the Volt Switch, and it's GG from there. So we're just going to move on to the very final battle. So hopefully you guys are still here and liking the team. I'm really liking it at the minute, and I will see you at the next one. Okay, so, well, what do you know? We started off with a rain team, and we're going to be finishing with a rain team. So, in terms of this guy's starting sort of switching, I am kind of feeling the Politoed as always. So, I'm quite keen to go out into Rotom, and I think that's what we're going to do and see from there. But this team is pretty scary. To be honest, I think in that first battle we probably should have won, but there's not a huge amount we can do about it. I am just going to go for the Hydro Pump, predicting possibly, I don't think Zapdos has Volt Absorb just yet, but I can't remember what Thundurus has. He does end up staying in, which is a pain, so he does end up getting the Toxic off, which I guess is why the rest of Chester set would be better. We're going to go for Volt Switch this turn, and see from there. He does make the excellent play of going out into Swampert, but I'm pretty confident of going for a Hydro Pump this turn, because to be honest, once we've got this guy out of the way, he hasn't really got many physical threats for us to actually sort out with Rotom, so this is the only thing that is going to get in our way. We could go for the Will-O-Wisp, and actually I think Willow probably is the better bet. I don't know if he's going to be scouting for it. He isn't scouting for it, but we do end up getting the Hydro Pump off instead, which is a bit of a shame. So, we are in a little bit of a predicament here, because the rain is going to be up, and it is going to be outspeeding for quite a while. So, I think what we're going to have to do is maybe go out into Starmie and sack that off, because I don't think that's going to be particularly useful. I think that's our only real option, and hope that the rain... hopefully we can take 2 hits. I don't think we will. He does. Oh, he goes for the Focus Energy this turn. We are in quite a bit of trouble here. We're going to go for the Psyshock. Unfortunately, we got to hope that the rain dies after this point. He does miss the Hydro Pump, which is going to make quite a bit of difference, especially if this rain is going to stop. The rain doesn't stop, unfortunately. So, by the looks of things, Hydro Pump is his best bet for us, which is quite surprising, to be honest. We could actually be cheeky and Reflect type, but in the end of the day, I don't want to get hit by Dragon Move, and I guess it's an option. I'd rather just get some more damage off on this guy, because with how min-max may be working, we have a chance to actually KO this guy, and we are going to be able to live another one as well. Unfortunately, we don't manage to take him out, but another Psyshock will be able to. We could go for the Recover here, considering how much damage that's doing. He isn't actually getting any crits, I just realised, so unfortunately Draco is going to be able to crit us, which is a real shame. I'm not too sure what to do from here though. We may have to go out into the Rotom and rely on taking a hit, but I don't think we can. In terms of usefulness, let's see, he's got the Thundurus and the Zapdos, which I guess Billy does outspeed both of them after setup. The Politoed is down to a range where we can KO that if needs be. But 295 speed, I don't think there's much that our guys are going to be outspeeding. So maybe Heatran is the one that's going to have to go, unfortunately. I think, yeah, that's the one that is unfortunately going to have to die. We also have an 80% chance of being able to live, 20% chance of being able to live that. And that's much bigger chance than any of the other Pokemon we've got have. But yeah, Kingdra under the rain is very scary. So at the end of this turn as well, rain will end, which will be really good. So we're just going to go for a Toxic here, because that's our only real option to actually kill Kingdra, because actually water is 8 times resisted at this point, which is pretty sad. He goes into his own Heatran now. So I think Rocks is definitely an option, especially with the Zapdos and Thundurus. And I don't think our Heatran is going to be particularly useful outside of that. So I hope this guy hasn't got what's it called, Earth Power or anything like that. But it's something we're just going to have to find out, unfortunately. Which is a pain. It's not ideal, but I can't see us winning on this one. Though, to be honest, I did say that about the first one, and we did manage to come through. He does pack the Earth Power of his own, which is unfortunate. I know they sometimes run it. It's not particularly common, but there's not a huge amount we can do about that. We can go out into Landorus. We're going to have to make some clever plays here, I think. So we're going to go out into Landorus. We're going to go for the Stone Edge, just because that's going to do a really, really decent chunk to both Zapdos and Thundurus if one of those decides to come in. And being able to take one of those out is definitely going to make life easier, especially when it's one of the strong special attackers and we've just lost our special wall. But yeah, facing 2 rain teams in 4 games is quite unfortunate, really. But rain teams is definitely something I'd like to do in the future, so maybe for a live stream or something like that. I'll keep you guys posted about that. As I said, I don't know when or where, but we shall see. So yeah, fingers crossed. And also for, I think this week as well, we're going to be doing a Mega Houndoom UU live stream as well. I will keep you guys updated of when that will be. I'm not exactly sure when. I've got this is going to be down on Monday, so it's either going to be Wednesday, Friday, or Sunday. Looking at it at the minute, I'm trying to aim for Friday, but obviously with life and everything like that, it is going to have to depend. But that is the aim for that one. So that will be a UU Mega Houndoom team. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. It's going to be the same sort of style as my Mega Garchomp live stream, and a little bit like this actually, where I'll be building a team from scratch, but live to you guys rather than pre-recording it, and just see how long we can go. The last one was absolutely crazy. I managed to do a 3-hour stream without breaks, which was just absolutely incredible, and it was so much fun. So if you haven't actually managed to make it to any of my live sessions, I really, really do recommend you give it a go. If you can make it, it'd be absolutely excellent, because the more the merrier, and it's great to be able to talk to you guys as well, because this is the slight problem with this system, is I sort of record everything a few days beforehand. You guys have to wait a few days before you see it, and then we can only communicate after that. Whereas at least that way, there's only a 30-second delay, so I can actually chat to you guys, you know, sort of straight away. For some reason, Showdown is taking an absolutely crazy amount of time. We do manage to come out into the Landorus, and as usual, the timer is ticking on us, which is absolutely great. So we actually probably could have lost that one, and we are probably going to lose to Showdown lag. Luckily we don't, and he does get into the Politoed, and we should be able to take him out from there. We're going to have to risk the fact that he might not be... Actually, even if he's scarfed, we should be able to take him out. The timer is really, really low. We just missed. And unfortunately, he gets the burn as well. Oh, great. So, our only real option now is to go out into Raikou. And we're going to have to go for something else. But no, that was really unfortunate, because we'd have been able to take out the Politoed. But to be honest, even then, the Kingdra or the Swampert could come out and sweep us. So we're just going to go for an ORAS, because this is our only real option, because we can't really afford... I guess even if the Swampert comes in, we're in trouble anyway. There's not a huge amount we can do, but at least this way we get some prior damage off, which is going to make a difference to that Rotom. So we're going to go for a Aura Sphere here. Raikou probably has the best chance of taking everything out from here. Billy might. It's a little bit tricky to say. I guess with the Kingdra we probably aren't. I think we're just going to have to stay in Aura Sphere and hope he overpredicts or sets up Stealth Rocks or does something like that. He does Mega up this turn, and we do outspeed because of the lack of Swift Swim as well, which is really, really good. And a Waterfall is going to absolutely mash us into the floor. We can go out to Rotom now, and we're going to have to go for a... probably a Will-O-Wisp. It would be nice to go for something a bit more reliable, but this is... Maybe Hydro Pump is the way to go. I think Hydro Pump probably is, just in case that Politoed is coming back in. That's the only thing that can actually take that hit. Swampert is definitely not going to be able to take a Hydro Pump, and then it is literally going to be down to Mega Beedrill to stomp his way through the rest of the team, which I severely doubt he will be able to, especially with our lack of priority. I don't think it gets Sucker Punch or anything like that. If it got Sucker Punch, it would be seriously good. Okay, so he has got Prankster on this guy. We can't afford to switch, unfortunately, so we are just going to have to Volt Switch this turn, and we have to take a massive thunder to the face, and we're going to have to go out into Billy and see from there. I don't think Billy does get any form of priority or anything like that, which is really upsetting. I really was thinking of trying Fell Stinger, but it is a little bit situational where you get pretty much a free SD if you can kill something with that move. So we're going to go back out to this, especially with the time ticking. I don't really want to be doing any of that. And we're going to have to go out into Rotom. And I think it's GG from here anyway, to be honest. Because there's still 2 turns of rain left. The only way we could live this is somehow just him missing a waterfall, which is really, really unlikely, to be honest. So we can see this team is weak to rain teams, but to be honest, fully dedicated rain teams are absolutely terrifying. And maybe some sort of grass type on here, I'm not too sure what, but we'll have to see. We're definitely not going to be outspeeding, and we're definitely not going to be taking a hit. So we're just going to go for a U-turn, because that's our most powerful move, and just watch our bug just get absolutely splattered on the windscreen, because this thing is going to hit hard, and we do end up dying. So unfortunately we lost to, I think we lost, did we lose 2, win 2? Something like that. I'm quite happy with the team at the minute, so if you guys have any suggestions, don't forget to leave those in the comments below. And as I said, if we can get this to 35 likes, we will be doing a live streaming session where I'll be battling you guys with this team, and I would absolutely love to do that, and that would be absolutely brilliant. So hope you guys enjoyed the whole video, and you like the team and everything like that, and I will see you guys at our next video. Macadii out.